Welcome to the channel and welcome to the show. This video is inspired by a Thomas Sheridan video. Now, if you don't know who Thomas Sheridan is, I will link one of his videos in the description below, so if you want you can subscribe if you're not already subscribed to him. Thomas Sheridan is actually the only person that I really follow on YouTube. And by really follow, I mean when he uploads a video, I watch it. I watch it every time, and I don't care if it's an hour long. I just put the kettle on, get some tea, and watch it. I don't care if I don't have the time, then I'll just go to bed 1 hour later, but I will watch that Thomas Sheridan video because I feel that in watching his videos, I am getting the greatest education of a lifetime just by listening to him. And in his latest video, he said something. He said that he kept seeing owls everywhere. And he said the owl truly is the spirit animal of our time. Actually flew a bird over here, so I was just checking if it was an owl, because you never know. Crazy synchronicities. But he said that, and then he quickly moved on to the next subject. But when he said that, I couldn't move on to the next subject. I had to pause the YouTube video because I felt something really strong in my chest. I felt that what he said was true. Furthermore, I too, just like him, are seeing an increasing amount of owls. Now, sometimes those are actual owls, sometimes those are stuffed animal owls, sometimes they're owls covered with woods, but they keep showing up on my news feed. They keep showing up everywhere. And there's actually a third reason why I wanted to make this video. The owl it's my animal. It's, some people say your spirit animal, your power animal, your flygja. I still have trouble pronouncing that, but it's just the animal that represents me in this lifetime. I am an owl. So all that came together. I thought I need to take a video and really dive deep into this, because the owl is the spirit animal of our time. So in this video, I'm going to discuss what is the symbolic nature of the owl. And the second part, which is probably even more difficult to define, is how do we define our time? And how can we integrate, how can we make sure that these two connect? Where do they connect? So, owl symbolism, it's a lot, but it's basically wisdom. In olden times, the owl was associated with the goddess Athena, or in Rome, the goddess Minerva. It represented vision. It represented stillness. It represented wisdom. Now, how is that so specifically linked to the time that we are in right now with Western civilization? Because, well, it's wisdom. You can never have too much wisdom, right? It's never a bad thing. So then we have to identify why it's so good for this time, what this time actually is, and then we're going to come back to the owl, because if you observe the owl and what it does, I think you can learn from it how to navigate these challenging times in Western civilization we're in right now. So, what is the time? Well, if you want to understand Western civilization and where we are right now, I look to the good old medicine wheel. Now, what this is everything. Everything in life exists somewhere on the medicine wheel. On the top, we have the north. There we have silence, the ancestors, inspiration. On the east, we have beginnings. On the south, we have hard work, the sun, the highest potential. And then we have somewhat of a decline, autumn, and going back into stillness and inspiration again. Everything, you and I included, every idea that we have, everything that we give birth to, everything that lives on this earth is somewhere on this medicine wheel. And Western civilization is also somewhere on this medicine wheel. Now, if you see it in a civilizational manner, then you have the first is basically the growth of your society. The second quarter is expansion. That's when the society becomes so powerful and dominant that they start to conquer other societies. And then you have, when you come at the halfway point, that's when the society is most powerful and most prosperous. But if you go to the third quarter, the power starts to disappear, and the fact that there is so much money in a civilization, meaning they become lazy and degenerate. Then in the last quarter, it completely falls apart, and the civilization is returned to nothing again. Now, if you look at the medicine wheel, as I just explained it, and if you think about Western civilization, where do you think Western civilization is on the medicine wheel right now? Nobody is going to say Western civilization is in the first quarter where we are just building our society. Nobody is going to say that we're in the second half where we're just expanding and conquering. We did that like for the last 500 years. Not anymore. So we're already on the way back. And there are many signs of this. We can talk about things that we see and things that we feel, but even things like chronic illness. You can look up statistics on chronic illness. Like in the 20s, there were very few people with chronic illness, and now it just keeps rising and rising all over Western civilization. Sure, in America, a tad bit more than in Europe, but the trend is the same. So there's a decline here. How does the owl help us? Well, let me first point out another thing that's really changed, because I've always been into American politics. Not as a sense that I think that the American politicians are our savior, but I realized that after the Second World War, sometimes it feels like Holland and Europe is nothing more than another colony of America, meaning that whenever America needs something, we always give it and we always nod yes. So I started looking to America, but also because America's so big and they fuck up on such a colossal scale, the politicians, that it's kind of entertaining for me to watch. But I remember still when like Barack Obama was against Mitt Romney and George Bush was against Al Gore. And I was watching those debates and they were just talking and finding out who has the better ideas for the country. Now that was a while back. I don't know if you've seen any presidential debate in America lately. But the intensity has been dialed up to 12. Meaning you have one side who believes that if the other side wins, it's the end of democracy. And you have the other side which believes that if that other side wins, then it's the end of America. So everything is dialed up to 12. You're either for or against. These are extreme times. So how does the owl help to these extreme times? One of the things that the owl does is owls do not run in packs. You might see a family of owls, but they're individualistic. And they just watch. Remember when COVID hit? That's already 4 years ago. Nobody knew what was going on. But again, society was cut in two. One half believed you should listen to the experts that were on TV and the people that were on TV. And if you didn't do that, you were a very bad person and you were going to die. And the other half were very skeptical of what the experts had to say. But there were also a large part of that group who really thought that Bill Gates was going to put each and every one of us in a concentration camp and then murder us. Everything was dialed up to 12. How do you deal with that? Be like the owl. Just look. Don't engage. Don't run with the pack. When we are running around in society, what does the owl do? Nothing. You don't even see him. But when we're done, he does his thing. He doesn't connect to our sentiment. You shouldn't connect to the societal sentiment because, like I said before, it's going down. We're in that last part of the medicine wheel. And if you hold on too tightly, you will go down with society. Not a good way to go. The fact that the owl is nocturnal, and by the way, I looked this up, there are some subspecies of owls that aren't nocturnal, but most owl species are nocturnal. He is wise and he has insight, but how does he get that? He gets it by not participating And when the day is finished, that's when he knows what happened. So the wisdom and the lesson in there is, while things are happening, you should just look and don't engage. And when things are fading, just like with COVID, because we're like a couple of years and it's becoming increasingly more clear what actually happened. Why? Because you didn't engage with the spasms of a dying society. It sounds really dark and macabre, but hey, sometimes that's how I see it. Hindsight is 20/20, meaning when you look back, everything is clear, but when you're in it, you are not clear. You can't see anything. There's just fog. So in these times, I believe there are more events going to happen. Now, I'm not trying to make you panic, but probably next year, the story is going to be there is an economic crisis. Now, normally when there's an economic crisis, the media would say, there's an economic crisis, there's some downturn, we're going to be all right. I'm guessing that they're going to say this is the worst economic downturn in the history of mankind. We should be eating our dogs and running away and selling our children to slavery. They're going to turn it up to 12 again. And I think what you need to do is be like the owl. Don't run with the pack who's going crazy, who's going, Just look. Whenever there's a new virus, just look. Whenever there's a crisis on this and that, just look. Not only will you gain wisdom, but you will not keep society so close that it will drag you down into abyss with it. So be like the owl. Follow your own path and just look. Now I want to take the second part of this video to tell you a bit on how I found out that the owl was my animal, because it was a very strange experience. I was experimenting with an obsidian mirror, a black mirror, a mirror made out of the gemstone obsidian, because I've been told that sometimes when you look in those mirrors, you can see your subconscious. Now this was like a lot of years ago. And I looked at it, first time I looked at it, I couldn't see anything because I want to see something. I was really like with my rational mind going, okay, what can I see? But it's kind of like when you're looking for an aura or when you want to have inspiration, you don't really specifically try to focus on something, you just relax, put on some candles, get the mood right and just kind of like casually go in there with your eyes. And then what I saw was an owl. And you think, oh, that's nice, your spirit animal is an owl, wisdom, very good. But it didn't feel very good because what I saw wasn't just an owl on the outside of me. What I saw was me with a beak, feathers, and owl eyes. And I realized at that moment, I felt really strongly that what I saw wasn't something outside of myself, it was me. It was, you want to say that it's connected to you, just like your hand is connected to you. But it's even more connected to me than my hand is to me. Because I can lose my hand, and I probably can't lose my owl. Because I am an owl. Maybe because of that fact, I felt compelled to make this video. That's all I got. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in a week or two. Go with the gods. Ga met de goden. Subscribe to me, Thomas Sheridan. Show some love. Later.